So we're trying to open that gate of liberation, where it's possible to be within the world of duality, with all the real emotions, the suffering, which, everybody suffers, grief and loss and pain and fear and anger. But when we are in this space of the here, even behind consciousness, because it includes sleep, it includes coma, then life itself finds a harmony there. It's not the only thing happening. We don't get entangled. We're at home, also in terrible circumstances and also in good circumstances. We don't get lost. But we don't. When I say we don't get lost, it doesn't mean that we're pushing away anything, not pushing away our sexuality or pushing away our anger or pushing away our fear. We're simply calm in it.
The eye of the storm.
Yeah. The eye of the storm that can't see itself. It can only, all the thoughts, all the impressions, all the feelings, all the experiences of awakening and enlightenment and whatever are the storm around the eye.
And does the eye need the storm to know itself?
It's a very beautiful question. I would have to ask, what do you mean by knowing?
Well, sometimes, now I go to knowledge. I read in a book or heard from another teacher, it said that this is all just God playing hide and seek with himself. So that, let's say that the eye is God, and so God pretends to be the storm, or pretends to be you and me and the camera and the couch.
Maybe he's playing hide and seek with his wife.
Yeah, that could be, yeah. But then there's still duality. There's always this talk about oneness, or one without the second. I heard from The Love of Your Life that your next book is about duality. So this site is about non-duality. What is for you the difference between the two? I know non-duality, duality, everything is one, and then duality, there's the opposites. But how are you explaining this to people? Is there such a thing as duality? That's my question.
Is there such a thing as difference?
Yeah.
Is more the question.
Okay.
Let's take the now, the power of the now. So all we have is now. So time is totally transient. Whatever this illusion of time, it's passing, it's passing, it's passing, and all there is this now, this opening, this doorway to something existential. So what we could do with that, because we have dualistic minds, if you could say all the rest is not real. So the now is real, and all the stories and all the history and all of creation actually is not real. It's an illusion. This is God playing hide and seek with himself.
Yeah.
So that's a new duality, and and what is a position of truthfulness becomes an escape door from some kind of human responsibility. What's also true at the same time in the now is that every single moment of now is eternal. It never gets lost. Nothing.
And why is that?
It seems to be a basic law that which is created never gets uncreated. And what's happening in awareness is moving through. What's unfortunate, and this is where we are in the development of mind as a species, is that we identify with that. We identify with the particular impressions of consciousness at that moment. Which is also okay, that is forever. But what is here never ceases to be. If you look back in your memory and you look at moments when you were really here and now, really awake, isn't it true that you're there forever? That this is something so alive in memory, so much more alive than lesser.
Yeah, you can recall it, and then it's again.
It's alive.
Alive, yeah.
So this is also why it's so important to move from the dimension of the now also to the spatial dimension, to the realization of space. So we said that the here contains the now. Space, in a way, is the container of time. So when we move down from the head to the layer of feeling, we cannot access that dimension without being in the now. We cannot feel what we're feeling later.
Mm-hmm.
If we feel what we felt yesterday, we're feeling it again. Now.
Yeah.
So it's not really a mind game to go into the now. All we have to do is feel. And then the realization begins to happen with a curiosity of what is it that feels. Can we feel that which is able to feel love? And can that be felt?
And is that something that is possible for all and everyone? Or do you have to be gifted to feel that?
To feel love?
To feel that thing, that which feels love.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely possible for everyone. You know, now many people are doing mindfulness, for example. But there was a time when those same quantity of people, yes, and they would see nothing there because their eyes are closed. No, almost like a wall of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the program was so deep that when you close your eyes, you see nothing.
Yeah.
And now it's more and more people because we are one. So we have an effect on each other. It's a domino effect. Eyes and looking into the inner world. So it's the same with feeling. You know, the first time, and this is true for you feeling now, they will say nothing. It's almost anesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
It's closed. But just that invitation to feel whatever is happening now and to explore is going to something more truthful, something that's happening, some kind of feeling. And it moves very, very quickly. So that awareness which is brought to it, it feels good, just the awareness.
Yeah.
There's a relief in it. There's a closer connection with your qualities, with being, with truthfulness. So that in itself awakens this new dimension. And by degrees it becomes easier, but often, of course, what happens is that there's a reason why people are anesthetized here, and that's because it's been shocked, it's painful. It hasn't been educated. How often in schools do we say to our children, what are you feeling about this, as opposed to what do you know about this?
Yeah, thinking about this, yeah.
So often what can happen is, especially for spiritual seekers, that they find the silence, it drops down into this layer of feeling, because it's the now. So there's an openness in feeling, in experience, and they meet pain. Old pain is in the now, right? It's always alive, it's just that until it's felt. And then a transformation begins. So they meet an old pain, and sometimes it's some kind of pain, and it doesn't even have to be from this lifetime, it can be from the generations that is carried through the family.
Yeah.
So they meet this thing which must never be felt, like betrayal, some kind of horror. And they're so deeply, they run from it back to the mind to look for the spiritual awakening again.
Yeah.
They're clinging to that state. Yeah, downwards. So sooner or later, these feelings, they wait forever.
Yeah. They have to be felt.
They wait forever.
Yeah. Is that the same Eckhart Tolle talks about, the pain body? Or how do you see pain? Is pain clustered in a center, or is it in the organs? Where is pain in the body?
It's a very interesting question. It is felt at first through areas of contraction. It's like you can feel from here outwards, let your awareness expand, and you can feel, without even knowing the content, it doesn't even matter actually what the content is. You can feel, for example, I can feel here that there's still a contraction of guilt. that's normal, you know, because humanity is condemned, so a little bit, you know, which is the... And the art is to really just allow it. Now, if we already can understand that nobody ever said, and this is where the mind is coming in, that we have so much space and that our being, our sense of space ends with this guilt, which is here, contracted. You can also, you don't need to heal the guilt immediately or deal with it. Actually, it's a shared guilt. You can just carry it. But to expand beyond it, around it, and even through it. Because the beautiful thing about perception is it's ours. And space, you know, you can take the tiniest bit of space and go through this contraction. You can become finer than the contraction and travel through it with your feeling. You know, the realization of space isn't just about infinity, it's also about zero distance, which means that you can go to zero distance with any contraction.
Pure intimacy.
A step beyond intimacy. Really.
Yeah,
really,
intimacy
really
is not
close.
Real close.
Yeah, intimacy is still a function of space. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful space.
Yeah.
Behind that, there is the next layer is really compact, holding the physical unity which is here. You know, from particle, this planet. So we can really go to zero distance. And of course what happens then is it's a great expansion of awareness.
Yeah. There's a colleague teacher of yours who says that the mental institutes are full of, how she calls it, cosmic vacuum cleaners. So let's say the people who are so open that you talk about the collective guilt, but they feel the collective pain, they feel the whole bunch of it. Immediately my mind says, that is not fair. Why should those people feel all the guilt, feel all the pain, and the other people are just walking happily through life? How come? How come we don't all get our fair share of the collective pain, the collective guilt, the collective sorrow?
Well, there's many ways to look at that. One is that, let's say, you know, we are fully awakened, enlightened and self-realized, and we are totally free of this planet. Would we come back?
I don't think so. Why should we? But just out of compassion.
This is the thing. So, I feel that many of us are here now out of compassion. We, beyond all of, when you really let go, let be, and go beyond everything. And I mean beyond every spiritual trip as well. To that place of utter existential, no hope, to that, and even leap behind that, to just being pure non-perception. And here, of course, it's a subtle game because, and I think this is what Nisargadatta meant when he said, I am that. It's a subtle game. The universe kind of turns inside out. All you can see is the impressions, and that's when awareness is moving forward again. But you can jump back again and see the impressions of what that is bringing forward. So one of the first, finest impressions that brings you out of that is care. Such a deep, 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 unconditional care for all that is. So out of that care, we will take on the karma of maybe a family of generations to take it on ourselves. We will take on thought program or a particular kind of abuse, or even of bringing freedom to the area of cruelty, which actually would mean the disappearance of cruelty. And we're working on it as a human species. We're not there yet. For every person who is in cruelty, they are there. It's seen. It's seen. The moment it's felt, the moment they, at whatever stage, agree to suffer this, They are there. Now there is another place of cruelty, where perception, especially consciousness, averts its eyes. And this is one of the big traps of non-duality. The aversion to suffering.
Yeah. The denial.
It's an illusion.
Oh yeah, it's not there.
Yeah.
And you are not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now let me tell the crowds of suffering masses about this, and that's my service, but I'm okay. So how non-dual is that? To have that separation between yourself and the whole?
Yeah. So could you say that there are quite a few teachers who speak about this still from an egoistic standpoint?
I think we all speak about it sometimes from an egoistic. The ego is always there because it's among us. In the play of form, the dance of form, there's always a kind of measuring thing which is happening. It's in a way, it's how we attune to each other. Am I better or worse? And it's also how we are inspired by each other. And when it becomes toxic competition, it's how we learn what we're not. If we're not, we learn to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So I really feel that the ones who are teaching, all of them, are doing it because they care. And they are dedicating who they are, what they are, their form, to a service which will help people. And the problem isn't the ones that teach. The problem is the ones that say, I am a great teacher, but I'll do it later when. Because I'm not ready yet, I'm not worthy yet. First I need to reach this stage, first I need to get there. And they retract themselves from the world, and this is a closure of compassion, and in a certain stage it's a contraction of the heart. And this leads to a kind of pretense which can be quite destructive, especially in spirituality.
Yeah. So all the criticism on, for example, the things my friend Paul Smith does, the Advaita cowboy, it's not deep enough, it's too simplistic.
Yeah.
You say every form is okay.
If there is truly freedom in being here in form, and that's the only freedom there is, a freedom which is conditional on not being here in form or taking a particular form isn't freedom at all. No. It's in a false duality.
Yeah.
And the playfulness that he has, and they are very much channeling that freedom, that unconditional aspect.
Yeah.
And people always reject. Rejection is among us. Rejection is a big part of the social field. And who cares? It's like the aid of rejection, who are thinking they can do more to help others, maybe have a satsang in their house, or maybe open up and really dissolve this barrier between themselves and others in a certain way. Often rejection is the hell. But if we don't allow that pain, we don't realize it. We don't realize it as the game that it is. And that means that we tend to reject others. So it gets passed around. Yeah. Reject, reject, reject. And we see this in the world, and this is what's leading to war. This is what's leading to that cruelty. This basic need, because the pain is so great here, to throw it at the other.
Yeah. It gives us a certain kind of relief. Yeah. When I tell that it's your fault, I feel right for one moment.
Yes, a short-term fix.
Yeah. So
even if we take a little particle of the pain of rejection and allow it to feel it, we are really changing the vibration of the whole. We're stopping this suffering. Yeah. We're doing a bit to change it, and we don't need to actually move with rejection. Yeah. Now, first of all, if you're at peace with rejection, you're not in the mind. You're at peace with the pain and rejection. It's anyway there. Yeah. It just doesn't have any peace around it. Yeah. It's not like it takes it away. It doesn't. We can't heal rejection by rejecting rejection.
That's a great one. Yeah. We can't heal rejection by rejecting the rejection. Yeah. And Georgie, what do you think about and feel about all those teachers who meet each other at, let's say, Science and Non-Duality Conference, and they go on a rampage to say, well, he hasn't seen it, she has seen it, he hasn't seen it. I, as a seeker, could think, well, this is rubbish. If those people are still making fun of each other, what is this enlightened thing worth? Yeah.
Well, on one level, it's a community. So all communities, let's be for real, they are active social fields. Yeah. So there's a fun in it, and there's a joy in it.
It's like the same with the monkeys on the rock.
Yes, we are monkeys.
Yeah.
We are.
So that will never stop.
Actually, the monkeys are better than us.
Yeah, it's more clear.
They're less destructive.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they're not there in this mind thing
Yeah.
yet so much.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. It's going to be there. The social field is here. This game of acceptance and rejection and belongers and
Yeah.
all of this jiving around.
Yeah. Just seen as not how do you call it? Innocent.
Yeah. At the same time, often the ones who are really carrying the energy in such events are the participants.
Yeah.
They listen. The listening is containing far more than the speaking.
Mm-hmm.
He who knows how to listen, he is not only, he's in a position of receptivity of life. He hears not only what's coming in, but also his own thoughts. There's much more, when you move into pure receptivity, you're full of the whole world. And there is so little ego there from that position that it is the participants that are the
Yeah.
yeah. Well, what would we all be in science and non-duality?